right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Meet the Breeder. We've got Red Scare Seed Company joining us today. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good.
Hell yeah. So I was lucky enough to get a catch up with you, make sure Vimeo worked with you, and we kind of talked about, what we had in common with growth styles and whatnot. Why don't you let everybody know that isn't familiar with Red Scare Seed Company, what you're about and what you're trying to achieve with your company?
Yeah, I'm just a small dude, organic grower, like a lot of dudes. I have a lot of use a lot of Korean natural farming inputs. I don't stand on my soapbox and preach about it a lot, but it's just kind of the way I've been doing things for a lot of years. Probably the last decade or so. Um, yeah, so I kind of started off just to preserve. And to create seeds for myself and my friends. It never really was supposed to be a business. Initially, it was just making seeds because we didn't have access to seeds. And that's pretty much how I started off and just kind of grew from there, organically, so to speak. Um, some years passed, I was kind of in and out of the scene for a while. Being from Kentucky, when I started growing, there was the circle of growers didn't exist. There were no other people that I knew that cultivated. I didn't know really any other grower in the state besides at the time. I think I don't want to call him out. He's a senator now in the state of Kentucky. Dan Seam, who is running.
Do we have to bleep
Normal. No, you don't have to bleep that.
Okay.
He's good. I'll just say he knew some people up in the Louisville area, but for me and my buddies, we didn't know anybody. So I was pretty much kind of on an island by myself. So getting seeds was hard. It took a long time. You didn't know if they were going to show or not back then. So it's just the natural thing to do is just create your own seeds and go from there.
What were some of those first types that you started preserving?
Let's see. It's just I'm going to be real. Bag seed. We would if I'm going to go way back, it was like we would collect the best bag seed, all off season, and then in the springtime we would just randomly pop everything we had. And there were times that we found things that were just absolutely remarkable. Grew with the resin of the old school White Widow, but just absolutely reeked of garlic. Way back before anybody had garlic bud or anything like that. And these things, I suppose, were just mashups of who knows, heirlooms from Mexico, maybe some California genetics tossed in.
Any of the bricks
It was just a true grab bag. Exactly, any brick. If it was light green, you better believe we were keeping seeds out of it. That was the criteria back then. Is it light green? If so, the seeds are probably worth keeping.
Yeah.
Did it smell of anything other than mold? If so, then we might have kept it and grown it,
Oh, yeah, man. So how'd you originally get into cannabis? What was your first experience?
Just smoking with buddies. Then I guess a few years passed. I started smoking in high school. Nothing serious, just smoking on occasion. Then I saw my first plants, I guess, like up close when I was about 17, and that kind of stuck with me a little bit. It's a little bit older than most people, but again, coming from Kentucky, um, it's like to see anybody's plants at all was pretty miraculous. So an old buddy, Roger Cotton, rest in peace. This old dude would grow 10-foot plants back behind his trailer in Kentucky. And his sons would always take me back there and be like, hey, man, check these out. And we'd go sniff these plants. And it was just like, that's when I knew that's what I wanted. I needed more of that in my life. And I wanted to explore the aromas, and the aesthetics were just too much to pass up. So from that point on, I think I started trying to we found some old magazines of his, and there were all these old Afghan pictures and shit like that. And so that's kind of when I initially fell in love with the Afghans, is seeing those old fat, wide leaves on the Christmas tree shaped plants and big chunky buds. That's really what drew me in. And then a few years later, I lost my financial aid and scholarships for a half a gram of weed. So from that point on, I was like, well, they took away my education. I can't get it back. It's too expensive for me to go to school now because I have nothing. So I'm gonna grow, and that around 2002 is when I decided I'm gonna grow, and that's what that's the direction I went in. At all cost, I was gonna grow.
Between the time when you first started growing cannabis to breeding it, what was the change? What made you decide that you wanted to breed, and how long did it take after you saw your first plants come out of the ground until you were like, I'm going to start making some of these myself?
It was a few years. We made some mistakes along the way. Trusting people was number one. I got robbed a few times by roommates or friend of a friend. You slip up and tell your best buddy. He tells his friend. All of a sudden, those guys don't like you so much. They come take your shit. Things like that. I guess for me, sometime around like '07, I started messing around with like some reefer man genetics, Gypsy's Kiss, and things like that. Big Thunder, I think, was one of them, and Petrolia's had a lot of Petrolia head stash crosses, and I guess losing those plants and then looking back 6 months later and being like, oh, I wish we had some of those Gypsy Kiss seeds, but we have none. That's when it clicked. Like, you've got to preserve this shit. You have to start creating, and you're going to lose your favorite plants forever if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was the first plant that you worked with?
Um, it was a big Thunder plant. It was the Matanuska Thunderfuck cross. Um, and that was one of the first ones. It was some random pollen off a male that I didn't know what it was, and I think I ended up with about 15 ripe seeds, and that's about it. But from that, I took those with me down to Tennessee and ran a bunch of them. Ran 15, and then ran those for a while, and then made some more off of that, and then took a small break and went out west for a while and tried naive. I was naive and thought I could just like, oh, I'm going to go out west. I'm going to get a job on some mountain, and that's going to be it. And
That's a dream, yeah.
that's the dream, and it's just that most of the time. It's just a dream. So when I came back with a wealth of knowledge and new genetics, and that's kind of when I just stuck with it and kept making seeds and breeding.
Hell yeah. I know the one that I've seen you work probably the most on. I don't know if this is the one that you've worked the most on, but I've seen you do a lot of work with that GMO fuel. Even have problems with other people using the GMO fuel.
Yeah, she's popular with the boys in the yard. Um, it's nice. I liked the GMO. I didn't like how it extracted. I thought that the terps didn't really carry over in the flavor. That a lot of times it might smell really rancid, like garlic or onion, and just skunk ass or death. But then the flavor is going to come across as I don't know. Sometimes it depending on how late you took GMO, the extracts would almost come out like an attic or grandma's perfume. And no matter what extractor I got it from, that seemed to be the I don't want that on my mouth. So me being the OG head, I'm like, well, let's smack it with a nice OG. And at the time, I had a really nice rocket fuel male from Archive, and always been a big fan of their gear. Politics aside, or Canada politics aside, I've been always been a fan of their gear and always found good stuff. So I just smacked them up, and the F1s came out terrible. I couldn't release them. The seeds were mainly pale and immature. Um, a lot of them cracked. I would say 95% fail rate on that first project. So I didn't release a single pack of the F1s, and then grew those out and made some F2s, and it was growing those out that I realized this is really special. And so I released a small amount of the F2s, and that's kind of when it took off.
Okay. So was it just a low bearing seed plant?
No, it produced a lot of seeds, and I still have this problem even with the F6. It's just a really finicky seed producer. It reminds me of some like OGs that just don't really produce a ton of viable seeds. It'll produce thousands of white immature seeds and maybe a couple hundred or so like really mature seeds.
Okay.
And I've seen a few strains kind of do that throughout the years. And me being a perfectionist, I'm like, well, my room is shit right now. It's not dialed in like it should be. I mishit the timing, but then I've got another strain that's just crushing it, producing these big black viable seeds with the tiger stripes. So, you know, some genetics just don't, want to produce seeds for you like others, and that's just the way it goes.
Right. And you actually, I told you earlier, we got those packs from you. Uh, so Red Scare Seed Company has donated 3 packs of seeds to our Patreon members here. A GMO Fuel F6, like he was just talking about. I've heard you work with this one quite a bit too, and it's been interesting. I want to know more about it. Is the Luden's Cough Drop F2? Let's
Yeah,
touch on that for a sec. And then he sent a pack of Curvature 2.0. We want to hear about both those as well. That Luden's Cough Drop, is this like a cherry? Like the classic,
it is.
everybody knows that or what?
Yeah, so back in Michigan, I had a pack of Cherry Tahoe from In-House. Um, and I never really ran a bunch of in-house stuff. A lot of their profiles don't really suit my needs, the Slurricane and all of that. But the Cherry Tahoe was one of their earlier packs, I presume. So I popped it, and it was amazing. The Tahoe really came out with some like bright cherry undertones, sweet almond cherry with just that earthy forest floor, and the resin stacks on it were amazing. It was just so coated, just dumped with sugar. So
You guys hearing this?
yeah, so I had to take. At the time, I was running a bunch of coffee F3 from Pacific Northwest Roots, and picked the what I thought was the nicest representation of that out of like 20 or 30 seeds. I forget however many I kept. Um, and then cross those up, and I kind of set them on the back burner for a long time and never really messed with them. They just kind of sat there for a few years. Um, and that happens a lot as a breeder. You work a bunch of stuff, and some things you don't get to right away. Well, I handed them off to my buddy, City of Homes Horticulture up in Massachusetts, and about a year later, he hits me up with some pics, and he's like, "Hey, I finally popped these." I'm like, "Oh shit, good luck, man." And as the pics start coming in, I'm like, "Oh, this is incredible. I got to work with this." And then he sends me some samples, and whew, that's when I was like, "This is it." The medicinal effects were on point. Aroma, flavor, everything was really on point. That earthy is like the coffee intertwined with the sweet cherry and forest floor. It was just rich and robust. It's like the best cup of coffee and OG Kush you could have. So, being
I'm gonna play
epileptic,
somebody for those ones.
yeah, right. The flavor and the aroma is one thing, but it also has to carry a medical aspect, because I have a lot of neurological issues, and it checked all the boxes. Easy to grow, good yields, um, narcotic smoke, but not just going to make you loot. You're not going to pass out. You're going to enjoy yourself. Um, one of my it's jumped the ranks. It's one of my favorites.
Put that one on the other side of the table.
No, I got you on a pack. I got you on a pack.
Dude, that sounds amazing. I
Yours.
wanted to
That's
grow
yours.
that coffee from Pacific Northwest Roots for a long time, and that was one that I just they were pretty expensive when they came out, and it's
They
definitely
they
worth it.
were.
Coming from them, you know what you're getting. Uh,
True
and that was
story.
one that just eluded me. I didn't have time for it.
I went to the Cup in Michigan, and at the time I had a fever. I had to wear a mask. I was sick. I didn't think I was going to make it, but really wanted to meet a few people and wanted to snag a pack or two. I was so sick, I didn't get to smoke with anybody. I didn't get to take a single dab. I was miserable. I stood in line for the coffee pack. It was the only pack I bought the whole day. I think I gave away all of my seeds, bought a pack, got home. A month later, I go to pop it. I open it up, and the inside of it was just full of confetti with no seeds. And I was like, "What is like?"
Oh, because they
Was it?
couldn't vend them there?
I don't know. I had to mess it. It was just an accident with the packaging department. Yeah,
What?
they just forgot to put the seeds in, so they ended up having to send me another pack. All good in the end.
Oh, at least they did it, yeah.
Yeah, I was so sick, and then I get home, and I'm like ready to pop the seeds a little bit later after I recover, and I look at the seeds, and there's no seeds in there, just a bunch of mulch. I'm like, get out of here! I need my seeds.
Get really high. I don't know. I'll still plan it. Fuck. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, don't forget you can hit that Q&A down there and interact directly if you're a member of our Patreon. So shout out to the Patreon gang for supporting this. Thank you, Panda, for setting this all up, man. Red Scare, we
Man,
got a common friend there, Farmer Fly. I know that you
oh
were
yeah,
growing some of that haze that he was doing. How'd that come out?
very hazy. So
Yeah.
old school. Yeah, it reminded me of some of the first herb that I ever grew. Really good stuff. It honestly, it had such a heavy um, Mexican feel to it. It was really nice. Everybody enjoyed that one.
So you sent us this curvature 2.0. I know nothing about that. I don't think I remember you talking about it. Can you enlighten me a little bit?
Yeah, I had some fun with Gage Green back in the day, and made a curvature pack. Those dudes are pretty hardcore flat earthers. So it's Mindo Breath crossed a GMO Fuel F3. So the 2.0 is Pug's Breath F2, which is technically a Mindo Breath F3, I believe, um, crossed a GMO Fuel F5. So it's just a new version of that. Very, very limited release. I think I might have released 9 packs of it.
No, I'm all over that Loon's Cough Drop, though. I'm fighting one of you guys for that one. Hopefully, we can get you on later as well. Anybody that sponsors the show with seeds to give away to everybody, we like them to come on during the show and get to watch it. If you're down for that, I'll let you know the date later on it. But
Yeah,
it's
for
a
sure.
ton of fun. We either play Do or Dab or we do like can of trivia. Do or Dab's the most famous one, but a lot of people are afraid to do it. It's like it's I don't know what you compare it to. You do a challenge or you gotta take a dab. Or sometimes the dab is the challenge. It's like a 1 gram dab or whatever. And these guys will just go head to head trying to get the free seeds. It's a great
Uh,
time. Everybody's laughing. You can't like walk away a loser from that show.
no,
Because worst case
everybody's
scenario, you're
winning
just
when 1 gram dabs go down.
yeah, you're just a winner no matter what. Sounds like Doc versus Farmer for do or dab. Fucking farmer wants them too. You sent me those Black Tiger NLD. I know our Patreon member Big Bad John wanted to hear a little bit more about it. I acquired those from you. Where was the sourcing on those, and did you work it at all? Can you tell us a little bit more?
I have not worked that one. You can't work everything, you know. I wanted to. Those are sourced directly from Balakistan, so
Okay.
direct from the farmer there. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't get any,
Oh, you didn't
not
do any
much.
preservation work or anything. That was something from your stash.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
damn. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
so that was from the Indian Landrace Exchange drop. I think 2 years ago, maybe last year. Gets a little hazy. They've had some fire drops. The lines get blurred there.
And that's one of the ones that I wanted was their black tiger. But then again, it's like money versus how many seeds I have. I'm
Right.
already at the point where I can't grow all these. I have to
Yeah.
give them away, and I do all the time, or we do auctions or whatever.
Calculating number of years left, strains to grow. It's like,
Right. I'm
right.
sure you're really OG and you grow a lot like that. And then every once in a while, it's like, I need a break. I need to do haze or something a little bit higher.
Whew, not me. I
I
think
mean, no.
Farmer McFly's haze was the first
Right.
haze I've grown in probably 5 years. True story. I just don't grow a lot of haze. And
Oh
with
yeah.
the land races, yeah, the land races, you do have to take a break. You do, you get burned out. It's like
Oh yeah.
you end up wanting the hype shit. You're like, hold on, I want some hype. Like,
I just want something to look good for
yeah,
once.
I'm not gonna say the c word because I don't want any cookies, but it's like you do end up wanting some hype. Like somebody was talking shit about runts, and I was like, hey, runts isn't that bad. It's in the scheme of things, it's not the worst. People get kind of emphatic about preserving things, and then you get into your purist, and they're like, fuck all the hype hybrids, but I like them all.
I used to be that
There's
guy. Not
there's
gonna lie.
there's I used to be that guy. I used to be that guy hardcore, and now it's like, nah. There's room for everything. There's room for everybody.
Absolutely. Something I've realized as I got older, even if it's a type that bag appeal is off the chain, resin producing is off the chain, but it doesn't have a lot of flavor. It's not that strong. You can take plants like that and mix the traits in that you're looking for, if you do enough work. Try it with a few different things that you like that are heavy resin producers, great highs, and work it in, see what you find.
Exactly. And on the adverse of that, you can take something that you like isn't a heavy resin producer, and then cross it with something that is, and then like for example, the Maruf Red. We were talking about the preservation and whatnot. So that's another Pakistani selection um, in that Afpak region. And one thing that they all carried was this rotten flesh aroma. A lot of them had this nasty foot odor, moldy cheese, dead body smell. Then when you cross them with something, I ended up
Say that
multiple,
again? A
yeah, dead
dead body
body,
smell?
corpse, yeah. Yeah, and we've found this in a few times. Swamp Boys had layer cake, and a lot of the layer cake phenos that people choose are kind of cakey. Layer cake, we found a corpse pheno, and then we crossed that with our GMO fuel F3 back in the day, and that was crude cake. That shit was like digging up a corpse. It was nasty. Not that I know what that smells like. That's some weird shit. It's what I would imagine it smells like.
Oh
So
my god.
back to the
We
red maroof. Back to the red maroof.
Yeah.
No matter how gassy or nasty the strain you hit to that maroof is, it turns it tropical. It goes directly 180 away from the dead corpse, and all of a sudden you're talking guava, passion fruit, pineapple, like star fruit, the most tropical shit you can think of. All of a sudden, that's all you're getting anymore. It's wild.
Desert island question. If you could only take one strain with you out of anything that you've made that other people have made, what would you take with you?
Man, I'm I'm gonna go with the GMO fuel. You know,
Yeah?
with yeah, I think Azad Kashmir would be a close second. So if I could take two, that would be my two. I haven't crossed those yet either. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. Timing
From
is
an
everything.
OG lover, it's surprising to hear you say cashmere.
It's only because maybe it's my selections that I was lucky enough to find, but we I got mine from Bear Frog, and I think that's the same person that Bodie got his from, and a few others. I think he gave them to 3 or 4 people. And shout out to Bear Frog. That was an amazing gift. We got rid of every pheno that smelled like candy or Jack, wiped it out. We didn't want that. Um, we found phenos that smelled like grilled chicken, and had that like salty grilled chicken burnt aromas, and the flavor was woodsy and earthy like an OG. It's like finding an heirloom peanut butter breath or something. It's just like smaller buds that are just caked in resin and the most unique terpenes you could think of. So that's it. Double serrated leaves, real sharp saw blades, just beautiful plants.
I heard you say salty. I didn't hear you say chicken. So you're
Chicken.
saying it reminds you of chicken.
Yes. And multiple people have found this and worked with it. Yeah, it's the chicken cut. We selected we selected three of them that had different variations of grilled chicken smells and passed them. And on the F3s and on, they've seemed to carry that same trait as a dominant trait.
Unbelievable to me. This is mind blowing right now. We do another podcast called the Washington Weed Review, and they had like the new style of moon rocks that was like a bud rolled in THCA as opposed to like how we used to make them.
Yeah.
And it was called chicken and waffles. And when I passed it to my wife, she hit it first and she goes, "It tastes like chicken." I said, "There's no fucking way you're gonna tell me that but tastes like chicken." And it didn't to me. But if you're dead set that this thing tastes like chicken, I gotta try that one out too.
Chicken. Now the flavor comes across more of like earth truffle. It's really earthy and buttery, but the aroma is chicken all day.
Dad Inky Grower says, "What strain is on the top for your head stash this season?"
That's that's tough. That's tough. Really looking forward to this wedding fuel I've got going, and then a banana OG back cross that's just really standing out in the greenhouse. I'll have to post it up later on. It was a replacement plant. I had a plant on the back end of my greenhouse and left the door open, to vent things out. Deer walks in about twice a year, and most of the time he just eats my kale, and I'm cool with that this time of year. He comes in and wipes my plant out and just leaves it on the ground. Like, thanks, fella. So I put this banana OG back there just as a replacement. It was kind of spindly at the time. I was like, fuck, I hate putting replacements out. Um, it beefed up fast, and it's nice. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That's another
Musky.
thing that we've been chasing is like the banana terp. I
It's
believe the one that I tried was a was flour from a cut of the banana OG from Oregon Kid,
hmm
I think it was. Is that the same one that you worked with?
I believe so. And I didn't get a lot of banana per se out of it.
Okay, I was gonna say that's the same with me. I didn't get a lot of banana out of that, but have
It's
you
more,
created something with that you find to be very banana?
yeah. We crossed it to Hannibal OG from Dr. Candyman's Candyland Seeds. I think he's just Dr. Candyman now, or Candyman Seeds. I think he came back, so that's cool. At the time, he was retired. I think like around 2015, he had made a release and then just dropped off. And I was lucky enough to get a few of his packs around like 2018, 2019. And we ran the banana milkshake OG, and it was really good. And I was sitting on this pack of Hannibal OG and popped it, and it was nice. Purple buds, smelled like paint thinner and like aerosol spray paint or something like that. Old school hairspray. Um, it was really nice. We crossed it to the banana OG, which is also pretty musky. At least on my end, when I had it, it seemed pretty musky, leather kind of, but earthy OG for the most part. Um, but when we cross the two together, you're thinking muskiness, a little bit of leather mixed with some paint thinner. You're thinking more along the gas line, but a lot of the phenols came out like green bananas, underripe bananas. So that was pretty cool.
How many preservation jobs have you done now?
At least half a dozen, probably a dozen. I've probably failed triple that amount.
Yeah.
Landrace preservation is tricky work. Sometimes the seeds erode. Sometimes they, get fucked up through. Sometimes you don't know the proper at the time technique to pop those seeds. like code
And you gotta
stratification or
pop quite
something
a
like
few to
that.
find something.
Sometimes you just find shit that's not worth
Sometimes you just get
preserving.
wiped the fuck out. Yep.
Sometimes you find plants that just don't flower, and all of a sudden you're like 6 months in, and this plant hasn't stopped vegging. It's like, this isn't it.
Something that
So
goes from no balls to trying to bust balls in a couple days.
pretty early on, you have to like draw the line for yourself and tell yourself that I'm going to be selective. I'm I'm not going to like keep a plant just because it's cool or because it holds sentimental value or because it's from this region or that region, and you just have to make your cuts pretty early on and stick by that.
So what's been some of your favorite runs to do with, the land race preservation?
Um, a lot of the Afghans have been that's it's tough, and then you have the Maroof line pretty recently. That was really fun. The Maroof Red, like I talked about, the females kind of had that rotten body sulfur smell, but then the males passed on tropical fruit terps. So that's been really fun, and those lines are really fun to hunt. Um, the Azad Cashmere, going back to it, that's always fun and probably has made for the best outcrosses as well.
Patreon member Big Bad John wants to know what's some of your best tech for popping old seeds?
Um, it depends. I like to do about a week in the fridge, at least a week, sometimes a month. It depends on the seeds, what they are, what do they look like. Are the seeds really
How
thick?
fresh they are.
Like some hardcore Afghans get really thick. They're like stone pebbles. If that's the case, I'm going to take them and I'm going to scuff them really good. Do a hydrogen peroxide solution, mix, probably 50-50 with water, nothing fancy. Um, and then after that, I'll pull them out. And I'm a firm believer in microbes. So I would probably just inoculate and plant, um, and then dome them if you need to. And again, a lot
Do
of
you
that
do
depends on
any
the
seed
seed.
cracking at all?
I don't. Um, and that could just be me stuck in my ways. I've probably lost out on some genetics not seed cracking because I know people that have had good results.
Not a big
I've done it
fan.
manually before, but um, for me, if the seeds don't want to be viable, I'll just let that go.
I don't really seed crack too much. I figured, yeah, like you, if it's not gonna pop open, let nature take its course.
If I do a weak solution, I'll let them sit for 2 or 3 days. That's about the longest I'll let them sit, and then I'll pull them
Yeah.
out.
If they don't pop in there, then they're gone. Mhm.
Yeah, for the
I'm the
most part.
exact same way.
I've pulled them out before. Sometimes you can hit them with some microbes and toss them, on a heating pad, and a few might pop. But generally speaking, they're going to be weaker. I've yet to do that and have a seed just like bust out of the soil and be really vigorous and be blown away by it. And I've been doing this for a long time. It doesn't mean I couldn't be taught new ways. That's obviously not the case. But
I get it, man. It took me so long to finally go, "Alright, I'm gonna use an LED."
yeah,
Like, I love the HIDs, man, and it
me
is
too.
different, like, now that I've been growing with the LEDs, I'm a little bit more comfortable with them.
Mhm.
I do appreciate them for what they are. I
Most
think
definitely.
with following a proper VPD, knowing your plants, knowing how to read them, I've got a little bit better yield now with the LEDs now that they're dialed in. I definitely get better colors without having to do too much switching or dimming or dropping temps or anything like that. But there's something about those HIDs, even though they're a pain in the ass sometimes fighting heat or doing whatever, all the duct work you had to do with them. They threw off their own style of buds. Like you could really get some hefty sour diesel butts with HIDs,
You really
or
could.
most things. They're just not as
Most
tight
things.
as a lot of these
Yeah,
LEDs are.
right. It's just a different, slightly different structure and appearance and all of that.
Dude, I tell people all the time, one of my favorite grows was interchanging HIDs with CMH between them. I would do like a 315 CMH between two 600-watt HIDs or HPS, I guess I should say.
Same
between
here.
the
We did
HPS, and
the
I
same
fucking
thing.
love that spectrum. You did that
Yeah, we
too?
we were doing the same thing, and the spectrum was amazing. I didn't think it could be beat, and I'm not convinced it can be beat.
It's just being stubborn old man, you know? When I first got the LEDs, everybody was telling me about, like, PAR and, PPFD and everything, and I was like, "Man, I check with my hand." And they're
Yeah, I
like,
was
"You
like
can't do that
par
with these
Ds. Yeah,
LEDs, dude." I'm like, "If my hand's cool, the plants are cool." You know? And then you crank them up and just fry the shit out of them. I get it, I'm
guilty
with you. I'll make you
guilty
a
as
believer.
charged. Guilty. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning with my LEDs. Yeah,
We'll get what are you running right now?
I've got a couple spiders at the moment, and
Okay.
they're kind of doing it for me. And then I've one one of my favorite lights
Keeping
is
your buds
actually,
buzzed.
and this is really terrible for me to say. One of my favorite lights right now is just a Mars bar light. I don't know if it's a 2000 or 3000 what model it is. I got it from the homie. It came in a box. I put it together, and it's killing it. But I'm just waiting until it glitches out on me and starts coming on at night because
Exploding into a ball of fire.
I've had those guys send me lights before, and I'll go into my bedroom in the middle of the night and the light will be flickering on and off. I'm like, God damn you, Mars.
Damn it, Mars. Yeah, that's a personal thing with me. They've hit me up so many times about, like, sponsoring. I'm like, "No, no, no." They harassed, oh god, who was it? Hoda Herb. Do you know Hoda Herb at all? They were
Oh,
harassing him forever, and then he would post about him. I was like, "They can't be that bad, man." And then they started harassing me. I was like, "Oh, Jesus." And
yeah,
they're not bad lights. I know a couple friends of mine that are local here that really, really love the Mars Hydro. The only thing about them is they do produce a lot of heat just because of how they're built, but they're great lights otherwise.
yeah,
It's the company that I'm like, "Eh."
yeah. Company, and not all of their models are built the same for sure. I think I've still got.
After we get done with this interview, I'll send you an invite link to the Discord server, and there's dudes in there that are like fucking science wizards with the LEDs and really help you dial them in. My plants are fucking looking great with them.
Hell yeah.
Farmer Fly, another one of our Patreon members and our personal friend, says, "What was your impression of the Hopar Valley land race?"
Oh, the Hopar Valley. Um, I haven't finished any. I'm guilty, man. I haven't finished any of the Hopar yet. I know that what I've seen from Farmer McFly looked amazing, and I think he's got a back cross going right now of it, so that's really cool. I saw him working with that with the Hopar, and I just kind of got rid of mine and moved a different direction. Personally, don't want to step on toes if I see a homie working a line, especially using a male of something. I'm going to stray a different direction, and then just wait until he's done, and I'm just going to snag some of his crosses and run that, and just get to the point.
Yeah,
So I, I'm at the point now where I just kind of want to run the homies crosses. I want to run some people's work that have worked some of my gear. I'm constantly getting seeds from people who are using my lines and stuff, and at some point it'd be cool to just take a break and just kind of grow. Just not even my stuff, grow stuff that they've produced. See what they're
absolutely.
doing.
Who would you say were some of your inspirations when it came to cannabis breeding?
I've been asked this before, and this is one of the trickiest questions for me to answer because we really didn't have any. And so for us, I, I really didn't have one. And so it wasn't until I started breeding later on, I went a good decade without really looking up to anybody. Maybe, I guess you could say like maybe Mel Frank or Ed Rosenthal back in the day. A lot has changed since then. I wouldn't say I look up to him now. Um, you kind of get to the point where you see how the sausage is made, and you stop eating sausage at that point. Um, but once I started breeding, it was kind of like Bodie seeds. Bodie was really cool to me, coming in, encouraged me to work with a lot of his stuff, gifted me a lot of things, and so that was cool. And then just watching my buddies kind of work alongside, back in the old face group bug days, the Delta 9 THC days. that was pretty cool. There were a lot of people kind of starting off, and then you had like Professor P and dudes like that were in the group. Everybody was pretty open. There was a lot of open communication and transparency that you don't get now. I feel like Facebook kind of censored us out of that. Everybody shifted to Instagram. Now Instagram is shifting,
Instagram.
and censoring us out of Instagram. So yeah,
I've been telling every breeder that I know, move to Discord. Like, just like a website, that's basically how you can run it. And you just gather your people there. Do your thing on Facebook, do your thing on Instagram. Everything else is word of mouth. But I think it's way easier for everybody. And everybody that I've made one for, really, that becomes their spot, just like ours is. Or even like I said, I'll send you a link after the show. You can check ours out, but you moderate yourselves, you decide what your server's like, what you're gonna handle in there, and it's just so much better having that shit without the worry of being flagged or taken down or losing your people over fucking night,
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
I was at like 12,000 plus followers and had years worth of pictures archived and things like that, and then lost it
Because of
all
fucker
overnight.
dog.
Yeah, and then lost it all overnight, and it was like getting the followers, losing the followers wasn't a big deal. I think most people can tell you that losing track of the people you followed is a bigger deal, because even though you're going to get something back, you're going to lose touch with a few
Killing
people,
business, yeah.
and that's always shitty. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me, Red Scare. It's been
thanks
awesome.
for having me.
Uh, Thank you so much for donating the curvature, the GMO fuel, and the Luden's cough drop. This has been an amazing episode. If you guys have any more questions, don't hesitate to get them in, because we've got about 10 minutes left here. But yeah, I wanted to thank you again so much for taking this time out with us, to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing. Is there any cultivars that you're looking to work that you haven't got to work yet?
That's tricky, man. You threw one at me. Yeah, I've
Old curveball.
got a few things going now. I'm kind of digging into some like I've strayed away from citrus for so long, and because it's just, to me, it's vile. Some people like grapefruit and they like to smoke the grapefruit. For me, it's like repulsive. But recently, I've been finding that like if it's in a cross, but like a few generations back, if it's a second cousin twice
Barely
removed,
there.
yeah, if it's a second cousin twice removed, it can do nice things for the palate. So I've
Yeah.
kind of been digging into some stuff, some citrus type stuff, and so that's going to be fun. We got some, let's see, uh, kind of going like back and forth on a few things. I've got some caramel grape donuts from the homie, the Real McBlunts. So that's going to be interesting
Excellent.
to kind of see what that
Shout out.
does. Yeah, and keep shouting out. There's Farmer McFly. There's like ISMW
Farmer
88.
Fly. We're
There's
calling him
yeah.
Farmer McFly from now on.
I
Sorry,
swear to
homie.
God,
Go
my
ahead.
son calls it It's a yeah. It's a Back to the Future thing with my son. He always thinks he's like Marty McFly or some shit. Um, yeah, so really just looking forward to growing the homies work. 305 Genetics, dude out of Florida. He's like really under the radar, looking to grow some of his stuff. Um, just small time guys. That's where it's at.
If you decide you want to do some more land race selection again, let me know. And if I've got some that you need, I'd be more than happy to share with you, brother.
Sounds great.
I appreciate all this information. Yes, Farmer McFly. Everybody's going off in chat.
I'm
Hell
not
yeah,
gonna
that
call him
one
by
is
his real
taken.
name. I'm not gonna
And
I'm
I
not
could
gonna
change his name
name
in
drop him
Discord. He
right
could do
now.
nothing about it.
Like I'm not gonna do that. I won't do that to you, dude.
You already did, man. That's
I'm
crew.
on a
That's how
first.
we are. We just fuck
Hey,
with each other if we can.
I'm on a first name level with him, or it'd be embarrassing. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
good
with
shit.
you, brother. That's
Good
awesome.
shit.
And thank you so much for the narrow leaves too. I really cannot wait to grow those. Those are some amazing seeds.
You're
I got
more than
that. what was it, the 21 Himalayan tour
Yeah,
book from Full Power? You got that one as well? Did you go through any of those?
I went through some. I'm still kind of going through some of them. Yeah, takes takes a long time. That was a comprehensive
Which
drop.
ones did you go through? All of them?
I've tried a few more than once, and unfortunately, I've learned some lessons.
Okay.
I'm still stuck in Moana at the moment, or Milana at the moment, and I just lost a crop of Polwama pink. Um, Repeatedly, every time I put the plants out again and the cuts out, I lost my cuts, I lost the backup cuts. The deer will do anything for these Polwama pink, this Himalayan strain. They love it. I've never seen anything like it. So
You look
it
like a
just
dude
wasn't.
that hunts.
Yeah, luckily, Erasmus already F2'd that, so that's locked down. So that's safe.
I'm looking forward to going through those as well. Uh, Let me know. I'm gonna message you about some of those Luden's cough drop. I'd be more than happy to support your business and lift you up, especially for taking this time with all of us to tell us about Red Scare. No, we got one more thing. Shit, I forgot. Can we talk about it?
Yeah,
Red Scare is
I'm
going
an open
through a
book.
rebranding. You want to talk more about that, man? What's the new name and why the rebrand? Farmer.
Yeah, it's been something I've thought about for a little over a year now. The new name is Garden Goblin Genetics. Um, it just it's kind of an inside joke between me and some King Gizzard fans. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard shout out here. Um, yeah, so we're just if you look into the Garden Goblin, you'll see some more, but it just provides some different different
Different
marketability
vibe.
aspects. Yeah,
Yeah.
different vibe. I'm trying to stray away from the militant vibe of RSSC. You kind of see the badge or the stamp, and it's just something I'm moving on from for the time being. Not to say I won't revisit that, somewhere down the line in a few years, but it's time to move on from that side of things and kind of open things up artistically. I'm an artist and I know a bunch of artists, and I don't want to pigeonhole them with red and black and yellow colors. It's fucking lame. This isn't McDonald's.
If it is, I would go there every day. So before this name change, so he's going through a rebranding, guys. So you guys are gonna get some of the last packs here
That's
of
right.
the Red Scare Seed Company name. He also sent us these, and these are actual wood. And this is gonna come with each pack of seeds. Look at this.
Yeah, shout out to Cultivated Laser for making those.
There
He's
we
a
go.
homie. He also bred some amazing gear back in the day. Dude needs to get back in the
They're,
game.
what are they? Stickers?
They are, yeah. You peel the back off, and they'll actually last quite a while on a car.
That's
He,
awesome, dude.
he was in
That's
Colorado.
really
I
cool.
think one of his lasted a year on a car. So
That's really cool, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be fighting somebody for the Luden's cough drop, and then I'm gonna be buying like 4 more packs off you if you got them. And
I,
but yeah, where can people find your seeds if they want to acquire some?
at the moment, redscareseedcompany.com or find me on Instagram, Red Scare Seed Co. Dr. Grenskye, I guess you can look that up. Red Scare Seed Company 2.0. And I think Gobble Garden Genetics is my new page.
Yes, follow the backup as well, guys. All right, Red Scare, awesome interview, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for
What are
having
your
me,
thoughts
man.
on testing, really quick?
Yeah. Um, Testing was, it's not for everybody. Some people like tested gear, some people don't. I get a lot of requests for untested gear, so you'll see me oftentimes release packs temporarily for like $20 a pack. If people want to buy them and stash them and not test them right away, they can, but they're untested and are typically sold as such. For me, I like untested gear. I almost grow exclusively untested gear. Probably because I'm getting so many seeds sent to me from so many of my friends that I just pop them with faith that, I know the guys growing them and breeding them, so I trust the process.
All right, until next time, guys, this has been Doc Calix with Dr. Grenskye of Red Scare Seed Company and now Garden Goblin. Let's give him a big shout out, round of applause. Thank you, brother. Until next time, good night. Grow right.